Victor Ellison had cleaned the corporate halls of Halcyon Motors for 5 years, his presence barely acknowledged by anyone besides the janitor's closet and the echo of his mop across the polished concrete. To the engineers, he was invisible. To the executives, he didn't exist. But when a groundbreaking prototype engine stalled out every attempt to bring it to life, when Graham Halcyon, the company's young CEO, offered $10,000 to anyone who could solve the mystery, Victor spoke. And the garage laughed. They didn't laugh for long. He didn't want the money. What Victor wanted was a single day in their R&D lab. One day to touch the blueprints they'd stolen from him 15 years earlier, scrubbed of his name, dressed in new language, repackaged for profit. Graham Halcyon thought he was mocking an old man when he accepted Victor's offer. He had no idea he'd just handed over the keys to the very empire his father had stolen. What followed would unravel one of the greatest corporate cover-ups in American engineering history, all because a janitor finally stopped staying quiet. The rhythmic drag of Victor's mop across the floor of Halcyon's performance garage was the same as any other night, a silent heartbeat in a world that pretended he wasn't there. But today something had shifted. There was no banter. No confident laughter from the team. Instead, frustration hung in the air like diesel fumes. Mechanics gathered around a glossy black concept car that shimmered beneath LED lighting, its hood up like a coffin lid. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. "This doesn't make any damn sense," muttered Chris Nolan, the shop's lead mechanic. "Diagnostics show clean. The fuel line, ignition, everything reads like it's ready to run, but it chokes every time we fire it. Could be a timing issue," offered Nate Torres, the youngest on the team. "Something with the intake valves?" "No, already checked." Chris rubbed his forehead. "Everything's pristine." Victor listened. He moved his mop slower as he passed, soaking up each detail, letting the words settle in his brain. The car was a marvel, a V12 hybrid with regenerative energy modules and digital injection systems, features Victor had once drafted in a forgotten sketchbook now buried in some dusty corporate archive. The hiss of automatic doors split the tension. Graham Halcyon strode in with all the subtlety of a press conference. Polished shoes, designer suit, eyes like blue ice. "What's going on?" he barked. "I've got investors flying in tomorrow, and you're all gathered around this thing like you're waiting on it to bless you." Chris stepped up, his voice measured. "We've run every test. Everything checks out, but it still won't start right." "That's not a problem," Graham said. "That's an excuse." "I have a theory," said Arya Malik, the only woman on the engineering team. "I think it could be a synchronization issue in the valve phasing. If we remap the—" Graham turned, cut her off with a smirk. "A theory? That's cute. Maybe save it for your journal. Let the real engineers handle this." Victor saw Arya's jaw tighten. Her fists clenched, but she said nothing. She'd learned the rules of this place. "Give me an hour," said Nate, eager to fill the awkward silence. "I'll get it done." Graham clapped him on the back. "That's the spirit." The others drifted away. Victor kept cleaning, but his eyes didn't leave the engine. He could see it, the flaw. A flaw they didn't know was there because they hadn't lived the years it took to dream this machine into being. An hour passed. Nate emerged from under the hood, sweat darkened and defeated. "I don't get it," he said. "It's like the engine's resisting." Victor set his mop against the wall. "Check the rotational coil offset." Silence fell. Heads turned. Chris blinked. "What?" Victor didn't flinch. "It's probably misaligned by 2 or 3 degrees. Throws the whole cycle off." Someone snorted. Did the janitor just diagnose a V12 hybrid? Laughter rippled through the room, except from Graham. He stepped forward. "You've got a big mouth for someone who scrubs oil stains." "I'm just telling you what I see." "Well, let's test your vision." Graham smiled coldly. "Fix it. I'll give you 10 grand. Victor didn't move. "I don't want your money," he said. "I want access to your R&D lab. One day." The laughter died. "What the hell does a janitor want with the lab?" Graham's brow rose. "Fina. One day in the lab. But if you fail, you mop this garage for free for 6 months. Deal?" Victor nodded. "Deal." They moved the car to Bay 9, the corner of the shop no one used. "Why are you doing this?" Arya asked quietly. Victor looked at her. Sometimes, to clean something properly, you have to understand where the dirt comes from. He worked alone, long after the others had gone. He didn't just look at the engine. He studied it, touched it like a craftsman greeting a familiar instrument. Then, from his faded coveralls, he pulled a notebook-worn leather, pages yellowed by time. He opened it to a diagram and smiled. Hello again, he whispered. Morning arrived. Victor was already working when Arya arrived early. She watched him from a distance. The way he adjusted sensors, recalibrated timing, sketched calculations with elegant precision, it wasn't guesswork. It was knowledge. You're not a janitor, she finally said. I am now. Later, while Victor stepped away, Arya peeked at his notebook. Schematics, equations, and a date 2008. Original engine prototype, filed, pending patent. Before Halcyon Motors even existed. When Victor returned, he wasn't angry. He simply said, curiosity's a good trait. You should hold on to it. But Arya had questions. She began digging. Through company archives, patent databases, merger histories. And there it was. Victor Ellison, former lead engineer at Aurora Dynamics, filed 3 revolutionary engine designs. Then accused of corporate espionage. Fired. Blacklisted. The company acquired 6 months later by Halcyon Corp. Victor's name erased. His designs repackaged. His life dismantled. That night, she confronted him. You designed this engine. They stole it from you. Victor nodded. And now they've broken it. I'm just fixing what they never understood. The next day, Graham came to check on the janitor's progress. Arya stood nearby, pretending to inventory parts. Graham scoffed at Victor's notes, at the calculations that none of his engineers could replicate. What are you even doing? Victor didn't look up. Teaching your engine how to breathe. Later, Graham called a private investigator. I want everything on Ellison. Every record. Every slip-up. Something about him doesn't add up. He was right. Victor's story wasn't over. It was just beginning. Arya and Victor worked quietly. Every test brought the engine closer to perfection. Every adjustment revealed more of the conspiracy. And then they found it. A chip, buried deep in the control unit. Designed to fail at 60,000 miles. To void warranties. To force expensive repairs. To endanger lives. Victor stared at it like a loaded gun. This isn't just theft, he said. This is murder. Graham came storming in that afternoon, furious. He learned Victor's past, learned about the false charges, and decided to bury him again. You're fired, he sneered. And this time, you're going to prison. Security escorted Victor out. The next morning, Arya and another mechanic, Julian, broke into the digital archives. They downloaded everything. Files, emails, design logs, patent theft, engine sabotage. They weren't alone. A man named Lucas Stone, Halcyon's oldest investor, stepped from the shadows. He'd once believed in the company. Until now, he'd been watching and waiting. With Victor gone, Arya and Julian built a new engine. The original, the clean version, the one designed to last. They set up a demonstration. Side by side, Halcyon's prototype and Victor's restored design. The audience, engineers, reporters, whistleblowers, survivors of engine failures. Victor returned that morning, bailed out by Lucas. He stood beside the engine he dreamed of, the one that almost died with him. The tests were undeniable. Victor's engine ran smoother, cleaner, longer. The Halcyon engine sputtered, failed, leaked smoke. And then Arya revealed the chip, and the documents, the emails, the patents, the proof. Live streams spread like wildfire. Within hours, Halcyon stock collapsed. Executives resigned. Customers demanded answers. And Victor stood before the crowd. 15 years ago, he'd been silenced. Today, he spoke. This engine wasn't just a design. It was a promise. That machines could be built with integrity. That ideas mattered more than profits. That truth doesn't rust. Graham Halcyon tried one last move. He punched Victor in a parking lot full of cameras. The clip went viral. By morning, he was indicted. By week's end, arrested. By month's end, convicted. Victor's name was cleared, the charges erased. And when the Hughes Innovation Center named for Victor's late wife, Diane, opened in Detroit, he cut the ribbon with grease-stained hands. The janitor had taken out the trash. And now, the engineer was building the future.